Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Danielle, aka Stitcherista here on YouTube, and today is another face-to-face true crime story time. So I have a feeling that, I may be doing the face-to-face true crime more often, only because it's a lot easier for me to record this, especially while doing the arbitration. I'm so glad we only have it through Wednesday of this week. So I am pre-recording this on Tuesday only because Wednesday morning, when you guys will be seeing this, we are having a scheduled power outage in our area, and I need to, Bill's getting a generator and all that crazy stuff so I can still work. So yeah, gotta get that figured out. So I'm like, I got about a half hour before today's job starts, so I wanted to pre-record this today. I actually did do some stitching, which you guys will see. If you watched yesterday's video, you've seen that. I spent a good bit of time this morning installing remote PC on my computer and my laptop, because what happens when I go, like next week, I'm going to the retreat. I'm going to be gone Thursday, Friday, Saturday, coming home Sunday. When I come home on Sunday from something like that, I'm catching up on banking because I reconcile our bank account every day, and work stuff and all of that. And I'm like at my computer for 4 fucking hours on Sunday. So I was like, if I take my laptop with me in the evening when I'm in my hotel room before I'm going to sleep, I could just get on there and 5-10 minutes. So I did that and tested it out to hook up to my PC, and I found out that my PC at home has to be on to be able for me to access it remotely, but it does work. I did do it, so that's going to be so awesome to be able to do that. Really glad I bought that laptop when I did last year. It was like 500 bucks, well worth it. And I know people are I get comments about this shirt every time I wear it. I got it from Torrid, T-O-R-R-I-D. They have physical stores, but they also have a website, and so I order from the website, and this is where I got that. I love it. I got it on clearance, believe it or not. I try to get stuff on clearance there only because their clothes are expensive, in my opinion. But if you can get stuff on clearance or when they have a sale, it's not bad prices. So, these face-to-face true crime stories it's more like we're sitting having coffee and having a chat and telling a story, right? So last night, now yesterday, the workday took an unexpected turn where they played a video deposition after lunch for the rest of the day. And so we didn't have to do any editing. I still had to hang around though, because I have to send the rough draft at the end of the day. What I had to wind up doing, I'm thinking, oh, I can pre-record a video. I can relax. I can read my book. Nope. No. Every day, I have to calculate the time on the record that the attorneys question each witness. I have to put this time into a spreadsheet. Yesterday was the 9th day we've done the arbitration. So after tomorrow, we are 1/4 of the way through. So we'll be 25%. Nope, that's wrong, because we have 50 dates. So we'll be 1/5 of the 20% through it. I have access to my boss's email, because I check it for stuff. I saw an email come in yesterday from one of the attorneys that they were questioning the time on the record, saying, it's not enough time for all the days that we've been on the record. Hey. So my boss didn't ask me to do this, but I decided to take it upon myself to sit there and recalculate the time on the record for all 9 days. It took me 2 hours to do that. 2 hours of that time that luckily we weren't editing, because I don't know when I would have done it otherwise. My head hurt so much by the end of that. And I had made a little mistakes here and there, just a few minutes. I'm going to be on it now though, from now on. But, and I don't have any more days off from the arbitration except one in December. So that's nothing. And we don't have it at all next week. I'm so thankful. And I am off Thursday and Friday this week. She's not working, so yay. What I'm probably going to do is when I stitch during the day or diamond paint, I'm just going to record every time I diamond paint or stitch and use that for true crime, story time kind of things. But it's so easy for me to record the face-to-face ones. And we're chatting and you can see my real reaction and all that. We're going to be doing a cold case today because I have a bunch of the other unexplained ones, but they're so long and I don't have the time. I needed like a shorter story today. So yeah, Bill went and watched a football game last night at a friend's house. So I had the evening to myself. And really, I am so exhausted at the end of a workday with this arbitration that I literally sat and read some of my book and had dinner and played Candy Crush and went to bed. I thought I was like, oh, I'm going to watch some of The Walking Dead. I didn't watch any TV. I read my book, though. Loving that book, Do Not Disturb by Frida McFadden. Woo! Yeah. Bates Motel and Psycho for sure. I need to start putting that in the... I keep forgetting to put the link to the book in the description box. I usually put it in there and I've been forgetting. Because what's been happening is I've been recording this video and then processing and uploading during the workday when I'm working. And yesterday went well as far as like the proofreading situation. Everything was fine. Our proofreader did message us this morning though and say, one of the proofreaders, they don't have electricity. Hissing, right? But yeah, okay, so let's get into the story. So the story today is called Little Boy Lost. And remember, it's a cold case that's been solved. We love the cold cases, right? So it is the kind of situation to melt even the hardest of hearts, a desperate, tearful mother crying for a missing child. The date was Saturday, May 25th, 1991, and the mother in question was 23-year-old Michelle Lodinsky. And the child was 5-year-old Timmy. Yeah, that's tough, 5 years old. According to Michelle, she had brought the boy to Kennedy Park in Sayreville, New Jersey for the South Amboy Elks Club Carnival. She had left him in line for a ride while she went to buy a soda. I don't think I would have done that. 5 years old, you wouldn't be out of my sight, I don't think. When she returned just minutes later, he was gone. Ooh. A desperate search had turned up no sign of him, and that was when she had asked the fairground staff to call the police. Yeah. To the officers who responded to the scene, this was a dire situation with not a moment to lose. They immediately called in reinforcements and started a search. That effort was quickly expanded to include tracking dogs, firefighters, and dozens of civilian volunteers. Together, they explored every inch of the carnival grounds and then expanded out into the surrounding areas. They found no trace of little Timmy. Timmy was gone. It was though he had been spirited away by dark magic. Somebody, a person. But this was no conjuring trick. The police were firmly of the opinion that the boy had been abducted. Initially, they suspected that the father might be involved. But George Wiltsey lived 1,000 miles away in Iowa and had not left home over the holiday weekend. He had also never been involved in his son's life, so he had no real motive. Yeah, so he was quickly eliminated as a suspect. That left a more terrifying prospect, the possibility that Timmy had been abducted by a pedophile. Ugh, tough, tough, tough. Except that no one in the vicinity had seen anything untoward. In fact, no one seems to have seen Timmy at all, and that was odd because, according to Michelle, he had been dressed in a bright red outfit, something that would surely have stood out to people, right? So a week passed without any trace of Timmy. In the meantime, detectives had obtained a statement from his mother. According to Michelle, she and Timmy had spent time at Holmdel Park that afternoon before driving to the carnival in the early evening. Officers then went to question the park police and picked up an anomaly. The lot where Michelle claimed to have parked her car had been closed that day. Sus. Michelle was then called in to clear up the misunderstanding and soon broke down, admitting she had lied about Timmy's disappearance. What? Timmy hadn't gone missing at the fair. He had been taken at knife point by 2 men. She hadn't reported this earlier because the men had threatened to kill her if she said anything. Now, before I even continue reading, you know the police aren't going to believe a fucking word of that. I don't believe it. No. I hope this story does not go in a turn where she killed him. Please, God, don't let that be the case. So it was after listening to this barely believable story that the police first started to seriously consider Michelle as a suspect in her son's disappearance. But Michelle had more tall tales where that one came from. What the actual fuck, Michelle? The very next day, she was back at the police station with an embellishment. How do you think you're... Hissing. She now claimed that the men who took Timmy were working for a woman named Ellen who was employed as a dancer at a local strip club. What the fuck would she want to... She couldn't explain why Ellen would have wanted to kidnap her son, but insisted that it was she who was responsible. And asked how she knew Ellen. Michelle said that she was a customer at the bank where Michelle worked. Okay. Excuse me. The police then started making inquiries trying to track down the dancer, and they found no evidence that she was a real person. What the actual... What? Finally, they asked Michelle to take a polygraph, and she failed twice. 6 months passed, during which time the police found no trace of Timmy, dead or alive. 6 months. The case, meanwhile, was featured on America's Most Wanted. Holy shit. And Timmy's face became very popular in New Jersey, appearing everywhere on missing person posters and on milk cartons. Then, on October 26, 1991, there seemed to be a break in the case. A school teacher named Dan O'Malley was bird watching in an area of marshland close to the Raritan Center Business Park in Edison, New Jersey, when he found a child's sneaker. O'Malley recognized the shoe immediately. It was branded with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and had been highly publicized in connection with Timmy's disappearance. It was the exact shoe Timmy had been wearing on the day he went missing, and it was also his size. However, when the sneaker was shown to Michelle, she immediately stated it was not her son's. Of course she's going to say that. She's got fucking something to do with it. The shoe was later sent to an FBI lab for testing, but the results were inconclusive. With Michelle still insisting it did not belong to Timmy, the shoe looked like a dead end. But then the police learned that Michelle had a connection to the location where the shoe was found. She had once worked at the Raritan Center complex and had been fond of walking through the surrounding parkland during her lunch breaks. And this was exactly where her son's sneaker had turned up. Coincidence? Perhaps. No, it wasn't a coincidence. No. But why then had Michelle omitted the Raritan Center job from the employment history she provided to the police? Was it possible she was hiding something? Yes! Yes. Michelle. You want to slap her upside her head? Like, on April 23rd, 1992, law officers launched a major search of the area where the sneaker had been found. They soon found the matching shoe. Then, on the second day of the search, they found the partial skeletal remains of a child near Red Root Creek, and Timmy was identified through dental records. Poor little Timmy. So the mystery of Timmy's whereabouts had finally been resolved, but another riddle still needed to be unraveled. How the fuck did it happen? How had he ended up dead and in the locale where he had been found? Investigators had their suspicions, but nothing to back it up. The corpse was too badly decomposed to determine cause of death, and there were few other clues. The police did find a full-sized blue blanket close to the body, and this was bagged up and tagged as evidence. Okay. So over the months that followed, Michelle remained under investigation by local law enforcement and by the FBI. Yeah, no shit. On January 21st, 1994, her car was discovered idling outside her New Jersey home with Michelle nowhere to be found. What? The following day, she turned up in Detroit, Michigan, claiming that she had been abducted by FBI agents. According to Michelle, the feds had told her that they were teaching her a lesson for talking about Timmy. 2 weeks later, she doubled down on her allegations, claiming that an FBI business card had been left on her front door. Scrawled on the card was the message, "It's not over." Further investigation revealed she had had the card printed herself at a local print shop. I fucking can't with this woman. So the hoax would see her convicted and sentenced to 6 months house arrest. Neither was this the last of Michelle's troubles with the law. In 1997, pregnant with her second child, Jesus Christ. What? No. She was convicted of stealing a computer from her employer and was placed on probation. A year later, she moved to Minnesota, and a year after that, she moved to Florida, and a year after that to Minnesota. She married in 2001, but the union didn't last. In 2003, now pregnant with her third child, she returned to Florida, settling in Port St. Lucie. Timmy, 12 years dead by this time, seemed to be long forgotten. But not everyone had given up on finding justice for Timmy. Back in New Jersey, the police remained committed to closing the case. It frequently came up in cold case reviews, only to be relegated to the back of the queue when it became obvious that the case was a gamble. There was no DNA or other forensic evidence. This was a purely circumstantial case, the riskiest kind to put in front of a jury. In 2011, prosecutors decided to chance it. So the evidence they would rely on wasn't new. It all came down to the blanket that had been found at the crime scene. Michelle denied it was hers, but 3 of Timmy's former babysitters said otherwise. The blanket was distinctive. They recognized it from Michelle's household. The question was, how had it ended up at the crime scene? Because certainly Timmy would not have been carrying it around, not on the day when the temperature was in the early 90s. Remember, this is like a carnival time, right? And if he hadn't brought it from the house, who then? It could only have been Michelle, but to what purpose? That was left open-ended, although the implication was clear, and it was to conceal something, perhaps his body. According to the prosecution, Michelle had murdered her son at home, then wrapped him in the blanket and driven him to the dump site in an area she knew well. The fact that she lied so often to the police strengthened the prosecution case. That's not going to go well. But there was still the question of motive to be resolved. Why would a young mother murder her only son, her firstborn, her own flesh and blood? And it turned out that Michelle was the worst possible kind of mother, the kind who resents the responsibility of raising a child. So why did she have 2 more? Timmy had medical problems and suffered frequent stomach ailments and problems with his teeth. Michelle hated the extra care that he required. Ugh, my heart is breaking right now for this child. She frequently lost her temper with Timmy, and on more than one occasion, she was heard to comment, "I'm not made for this shit," when having to deal with the responsibilities of motherhood. Again, then why would she go on to have 2 more children? Michelle also had a boyfriend, Fred Bruno, who disliked Timmy, and certainly Timmy appeared terrified of Bruno. According to those who were present, she showed barely any emotion at Timmy's funeral, and just a few days after burying her son, she flew to the Bahamas for a vacation with Bruno. August 6, 2014 would have been Timmy's 29th birthday. It was also the day that his mother was arrested and charged with his murder. Wow. I have to give the police a lot of credit for being so diligent with that, because 24 years later, her murder trial began on March 16th, 2016 and ended 2 months later with a unanimous guilty verdict. She was sentenced to 30 years in prison with no possibility of parole. So good for them, thank God, because now, I did bring in the positive affirmation book, so we are going to read that because we surely need something like that after hearing that horrible story. We have not read positive affirmation out of here in quite a while. Today is I'm recording this on September 14th. Okay, so this one says, start fresh. Your past has passed. When you were called to release whatever you've held on to for far too long, let go. Surrender as best you can and start anew. How exciting. You can begin again in whichever way you choose. Revel in this idea. Then prepare yourself for the energy of bright, brand new beginnings. You know, every single day we have a chance to just do it differently, right? To just start over and just do it differently. Every single day you wake up, you have that shot. So I like to think that every day I wake up, I try to be the best person I can, try to do the best that I can. We're human, we make mistakes, but that's what I try to do. And so I hope you do too. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below. and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.